Namaste, Kia ora, and good day, friends. We are with Simon Bridges today, the former National Party MP and the CEO of Auckland Business Chambers. Thank you, Simon, for your time and time to speak to the Indian News.
Namaste, great to be with you, my friend, and with Indian News. And it's been a while, but
Yes.
really good to be back and talking with you.
Thank you. Now, Simon, the free trade agreement between New Zealand and India has been signed. What is the biggest advantage or the takeaway from this FTA, and what advantage you think the Auckland businesses may have from this free trade agreement?
I think the reason for it is very strong, right? We know the big facts. Biggest country in the world now by population, going to be the third biggest economy before too long, before 2030. Many hundreds of millions in the middle classes. So the opportunity for New Zealand is very, very strong. I think now that the attention focuses on how. We know we've got this. We know relations are very warm politically with Modi and Prime Minister Luxon, with Minister McClay and Piyush Goyal. So we have to focus on how. And what I mean by that is now we have this door somewhat open. How do we walk through? And that requires a lot of strong thinking. You know India 1,000-fold better than me, but I've been there now quite a few times. So many states. Which state are you going to go into? Which part of that state? Because they can be hundreds of millions of people. Which specific sector? And how are you going to target that? And who are going to be your partners? Because you and I both know, frankly speaking, this is a very diverse, very complex country. If you just say, well, we'll go in and we'll try a few places, and someone told me that their uncle, they have a connection in with the state minister and it's all going to be sorted out and it's all going to be fine, probably that will be a disaster. So the reasons for this are very strong, but now we need to focus on how and be strategic and how we can ensure New Zealand businesses, whether they're Indian New Zealanders or whether it's non-Indian New Zealanders, are getting the right advice, the right strategies that are specific enough that they can really succeed in market. And final point, because we could keep talking all day and I could bore you to tears, but there are many sectors that this could benefit. The obvious big ones, zespri and kiwi fruit and maybe some meat and to a certain extent wine, but also education, also technology. And there's a lot we can get from India, right? Some of the best technology services businesses in the world at a more affordable price, frankly, than the Americas and some of these places. Actually, education into India, I think there's some opportunities. Skills coming this way. We still, despite relatively high unemployment, have some very specific skills shortages where there's a strong Indian aspect to that. So yeah, it's exciting, but it will get down to the nitty-gritty and some practical issues of how we, now the door is open, walk through it well and make the most of it.
Thank you for explaining so beautifully. Now, Simon, do you think New Zealand has been too slow to tap the opportunity of investment and trade with India?
Yes, of course, at a level, right? You will know, and this is a bit self-serving of me, but I was there in 2019 and we were talking all this up even then. And what's that? Even that was, that seems like a lot. That's 7 years ago, 8 years ago. Before that, of course, John Key even was there. And then, we talked up about these opportunities and, very difficult.
Yeah.
I suppose at the end of the day, we've got to it now. I think, truthfully, let's be really honest about this. Some is skill from our side. Christopher Luxon struck up a rapport with Modi. Todd McClay has always had this in his mind. He was there and very involved in my thinking on India back in 2019. But of course, what's also changed is geopolitics. Without getting too much into that, we know Mr. Trump is a unpredictable character.
Yeah.
And his views on India, they are hard sometimes to understand or to read. That, I think, has helped us because, India has been able, in its huge significance as a superpower really today, to see some relevance in a wider sense, I think, of partnering up with New Zealand more generally in areas like defence and so on, but also on trade.
I'm sure, Simon, you are aware Prime Minister Narendra Modi is visiting New Zealand very soon. How significant you think this visit could be for the business prospect between India and New Zealand in the wake of the recently concluded, again, the free trade agreement between two
I
countries?
think it is hard to exaggerate how important it is
Yeah.
to have Modi ji come to New Zealand.
Yeah.
I mean, it is if you excuse the small analogy, but or maybe silly analogy, but as you know, it is truly the elephant coming to the kiwi fruit. You know, let's hope he doesn't stomp on us. No, he won't. So it's very significant, and you know, I can tell you, I'm going to be in Sydney that week on a family holiday, but I'm hopeful. I think I'll get some invites. I'm going to come back for the day because let's be honest, it's Modi. And in this world of ours, if we think about the superpowers and the forces that shape the world, I think the other country that we can say is a superpower in 2026, 2027 is India. And not only is it a superpower, people will have many different views, and I try to be apolitical about these things. But Modi and his government is very strong in India. I remember meeting with its political wings when I was there in 19, and indeed I've met with quite a number of ministers since then in a variety of roles. But it's hard to underestimate how impressive that political machine is. Its ability to get out through all of that country with text messages and technology, and also the infrastructural turnaround it's done. Very significant in infrastructure. So all that is to say, to have this political and increasingly economic and geopolitical superpower represented by Modi, who's had a little bit of a dip in political fortunes, but back up on top.
Yeah.
Have him come. What is it? Is it the mountains come to Muhammad or the other way around? Anyway, we've hit the big time, and now the test for us is, can we make the most of it? Can we ensure that there is fruit from the free trade agreement, from him coming, more than just warm words? I'm optimistic about that.
So, what tangible outcomes would you want to see from the Prime Minister Modi's visit?
Well, I think there will be tangible outcomes. I have no doubt that on both sides we would all love to see, but of course it would be very important economically, business and trade as well, would be those direct flights. And so my wish would be, can we see Air India or Air New Zealand give us a timeline on that and make really tangible regularized direct flights between our countries.
What you think that the Indian community in New Zealand can add to strengthen this trade and other ties between the two countries?
So I'm glad you asked. It was kind of the one thing I really wanted to get off my chest. I mean, the Indian diaspora, the Indian community throughout New Zealand, but, for me now in Auckland, again, a bit like Modi coming to New Zealand, it's hard to overstate the importance of the community.
Yeah.
You and I know in our lifetimes, in our times here in New Zealand, how it's always been there, the Indian diaspora. We can meet Kiwi Indians on the farm in the Waikato or down the South Island who are multi-generational and speak more Kiwi than even me.
It goes more than 100 years
Yes,
now.
correct.
Yeah.
But what's also true is the population has grown rapidly and strongly.
Sure. Yeah.
And in Auckland, Auckland is an Asian city today. 40-something% of Aucklanders now are born overseas. Work by, I think, Koitu, a think tank led by Sir Peter Gluckman and, associated with the University of Auckland, they say come the 2040s, 43%, I think it is, of New Zealanders will be Asian, right? The big swathe of that are Indian Aucklanders. And, I see it in our membership. I see it in the business reach. If you want to be relevant in Auckland today, in a bunch of areas, socially, community, politically, but in business, you need to be relevant to the Auckland Indian community, because increasingly that's our workers, our skills, but also our business leaders. And we were talking about it before, but a friend of both of ours and a family that we both know well, the Nora family, been very important in Indian news and in the temple here.
Yes.
Rakesh Noria is the relatively new chairperson of the Auckland Business Chamber. And that's
The first Indian to
correct.
occupy that
And in
position.
fact, I think we can say the first non-European descent business leader to lead the chamber. And that's not tokenism. That's because he's not there on the merits. And I think it also, though, is nice because it represents that wider importance of the Indian business community. And, well, my encouragement to Indian Aucklanders listening is this. You are our ambassadors. The pay may not be very good. We're not going to make you the High Commissioner to India tomorrow or anything like that or anywhere else. But you are our ambassadors, and you have a really important role in ensuring relations between our countries are really strong politically, geopolitically, but in a business sense as well.
Simon, can you explain why Indian investors should choose New Zealand over other country?
Yeah, I think the truth is we have not seen big investment from India into New Zealand previously, and there's probably lots of reasons for that. But the free trade agreement is more than just the words on a paper. It's a symbol that we're open, we're all ready to do more with each other.
Yeah.
The reason Indians should invest more in New Zealand, I think the proposition is quite strong. We've got shared history, values, cultures, and that's more than just cricket, but that's a part of it, all those things. But even more than that, today in the world, what are our big problems and big issues? I think one of them is geopolitics. We have more wars going on today than we have in a very long time. We have more trouble, more uncertainty. India has invested big into the Middle East and Dubai in particular.
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of uncertainty there.
Yeah.
There's a lot of problems. They are very close to a war zone. So with all of that uncertainty and all of the issues, where in the world is the safest, most secure place for inward investment, for security? Where is a safe haven for you and your family if things go difficult in other parts of the world? I don't think there's a better place than New Zealand. We're the most remote developed country in the world. If you're there in India and you're looking to divest, whether it's through the high net worth migrant programs, the AIP stuff that Erica Stanford, for example, has progressed, whether it's more significant because you're deciding to invest in big energy or financial or whatever, New Zealand has shared values, history, all of that, but more than that, it is a safe haven. It is a secure, sure bet for you as part of your portfolio. Whether you're Mr. Ambani or a bit further down the chain and sitting there wanting to secure your future.
Great. Now, Simon, I won't hold you for very long. Where do you see the India-New Zealand relations from 5 years from now, particularly the trade relations?
I think we'll have matured a lot. I think if we're being realistic about this, I've already said to you the proposition for why we would go into India. So realistically, there will be maybe not the same, but different issues with the India-New Zealand free trade agreement and relationship. There will be businesses that go and lose some money, but there will be some who choose the right partners, have the right strategies, and maybe a bit of luck, or as we would say here, a bit of wind in their sails that go very well. And so in 5 years' time, I would expect us to be partway through that cycle. Few issues, few problems, not perfect, but some businesses becoming much bigger and much more invested from New Zealand into the Indian environment. I would think as I sit here, Zespri will be one of those, possibly one of the large meat exporters. There may be many others as well, and there'll be some surprises. There'll be some education opportunities, as I say. There'll be some technology opportunities. So 5 years on, we'll expect it to grow, few issues, but well on its way to maturity. And if we think about 5 years on, I forget exactly the number, it's not quite that much actually, but between Australia and India, a lot of people dismiss that free trade agreement. I did actually, as a low quality, not very good agreement, but that's been very good for both sides. the numbers on the Australian side have been more than pleasing. And so I would expect us to see a bit of that, albeit we're coming from behind with Australia as well.
Great. On that note, we come to the end of our interview. Thank you so much, Simon, for your time and speaking to the Indian News.
Good to see you.
Much appreciated. Thank you so much.